What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Farmer Insight Podcast with your host, Maddox, man. And whenever there's topics about black on black crimes happening in the community, how a lot of our black men are unaliving each other, there's somebody who's always going to get defensive instead of addressing the topic at hand. They get defensive and start to deflect by saying, but there's a bunch of white school shootings. There's way more black on black crimes unaliving than white kids shooting up schools. But there's also tons of black school shootings that no one seems to want to talk about. Because you know why? It don't fit the narrative. There's tons of black school shooters every year, but the media don't cover it the same way. They label it a different way, so you don't identify it with school shootings, but it is a school shooting or even a mass shooting. What brings me to my topic today, a black school shooting. I want to ask y'all a question. How come the school shooting I'm about to show y'all wasn't major, wasn't national news? How come I'm just finding out about this school shooting that happened last year around at the same time? Let's take a look.
Records revealed the identity of the 17-year-old student charged with shooting another student at a Dallas ISD high school. His identity was previously withheld by the district and its police department, citing student privacy. Jakarian Rhodes Ewing is booked now as an adult in the Dallas County Jail on an aggravated assault charge with a deadly weapon. Police say that he used a small pistol to shoot another student last week at Wilmer Hutchins High School in southeast Dallas. Now, 16 miles away from that school campus tonight, a Dallas ISD trustee held a community meeting addressing the incident. Fox 4's Sean Rabb live with us in Dallas now with more on this case and also some new information, Sean.
Yeah, good evening to you, Heather. There are about 100 people or so in this meeting, including students from the Wilmer Hutchins High School. Now, there were a lot of emotions in the room, as you might imagine, considering what happened Friday. A lot of emotions in the room, a lot of questions, but there were no answers from Dallas ISD administrative officials who were on hand or from anyone connected to the Wilmer Hutchins High School.
I find this strange. This happened last year, and no one was really talking about it. Let's continue.
See my students coming in.
Students from Wilmer Hutchins High School, along with parents and others concerned about what's happening, gather at the New Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church in West Dallas for a community meeting called by Maxie Johnson to talk about the shooting at Wilmer Hutchins. An arrest affidavit tells us the 17-year-old now in jail is Jakarian Rhodes Ewing. The arrest affidavit says an officer on the campus of the high school responded to what he believed to be the sound of gunfire. The victim had been shot in his left thigh by a Pink Lady handgun .38 revolver. The affidavit goes on to say the weapon was recovered in a semi-wooded area near where the suspect was captured by the football stadium.
How can a kid just walk gradually with a gun inside a building long enough to shoot another class member in the room?
They got no answers tonight. School district officials were on hand, but said they were only here to listen, not answer questions. That brought some irritation from some in the audience.
So these kids can't even get the opportunity to feel safe in schools no more.
State Representative Vinton Jones said the problem is just that, guns in our neighborhood.
The biggest conversation we have to have is about how people in our communities, how our children are getting access to weapons.
I ain't gonna hold you, man. He holding that mic kind of sus. Look how you hold. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Watch. Look how you holding that mic. Just take a look.
To feel safe in schools no more.
State Representative Vinton Jones said the problem is just that, guns in our neighborhood.
The biggest conversation we have to have is about how people in our communities, how our children.
The biggest things we got to do is understand we gotta need our children safe off the streets. So we need. That was nasty. I'm sorry.
Are getting access to weapons.
So 3 things tonight, really, Heather. First of all, the question asked repeatedly, how did the gun get in the school? No answer for that one yet, although we're certain on Friday, the Dallas ISD police chief said they were going to review video cameras in the hallways and try to determine how that gun got in. Either they don't know the answer yet or they're not revealing the answer yet. That's first.
That school system sucks when it comes down to securing the children. How come this wasn't major news? But guess what? There's more. Just yesterday, another school shooting happened. Take a wild guess where it was at. In the same school, around at the same time last year. So like a full year comes, it happened in the same school. That's what I'm being told. So let's look.
Welcome back. 4 students were hospitalized after a shooting at a Dallas high school. Sources tell CBS News the suspect is a student who turned himself in yesterday. One student heard the gunshots from inside a classroom and was reminded of another shooting at that same school a year ago.
We heard all the gunshots.
About how many did you hear?
Like 7. This is not the first time it has happened, actually, so it's kind of like normal to us. I wouldn't say normal, but it's like, it's not good security here, so it's kind of normal to us with the security issue.
She said it's kind of normal to them. So it's basically what she's saying, it's kind of normal to have the children in unsafe environments in school.
Let's get you to Dallas now, where CBS News national reporter Karen Hua is following all of the latest developments for us. It's so disheartening to hear that students say this has almost become normal. What can you tell us about the victims?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. Definitely a tragic situation here. We don't know much about the victims or the suspected shooter other than the fact that they're all males. Dallas Fire Rescue tells us the victims' ages range from 15 to 18. One of their ages is not known, and in terms of their injuries, they range from non-life-threatening to serious.
And you mentioned that at this stage, we don't know much about the suspect, but that young woman we just heard from did criticize security. Are we closer to figuring out how a gun got onto campus?
That is something officials are going to have to be investigating very closely because, as you mentioned earlier, it was almost exactly 1 year ago today that there was another shooting at this very school. In that instance, one student was shot and injured by another student inside a classroom. And so since then, the Dallas School District says they've enhanced their security measures. Its district website says it has added 400 metal detectors across its secondary schools over the past 2 years. Students are also required to wear clear backpacks, and they tell us that school officials regularly search their bags as well. But despite all of these enhanced measures, you heard from those students themselves. They say it's not unusual to see people bring in guns every day.
So that school became a baby death wish. Remember that movie Charles Bronson played in, starred in? Death Wish? The one that took place in East New York, Brooklyn. This school became an East Side High. No, this school became Dangerous Minds. We've been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise.
Also heard from the Dallas School District Police Chief. She says this was not a failure of their protocol, their staff, or these metal detectors, because she says the gun was brought in during non-regular intake times. Errol?
Wow. We'll keep...
Shut up. Not you, lady. The one who said that dumb statement. It's your job to protect at all costs. The thing that I find strange is that they still didn't identify or show us who the person was who pulled that trigger, who injured 4 people. They mentioned an 18-year-old was involved. And it's not true though, but what if it's the same shooter from last time? I mean, it's possible. I'm just saying, what if? Because think about it. If he was 17 last year, he will be 18 this year. Right? And it did say the age ranges go, I think, to 15 to 18. So it's possible. But the question I have for y'all, the second question I have for y'all is why they're not showing his identity. Is he black? Is he white? Is he Hispanic? We don't know this. But I guarantee if it was a white child, they would have showed him. He may end up being a white man. Nope. He may end up being a white boy. It's very possible. And there's tons more of school shootings that I ain't ever covered yet, that I plan on covering in the near future. Because we got to debunk this narrative that only white children are shooting up schools, when in fact, you have black kids, Hispanic kids doing the same thing. This world have turned upside down, man. Once again, these cannot be the children Whitney Houston was talking about when she said, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Jamaicans say bomb, but Clyde, they make it easier. Get these bastards help, yeah. Remind them where they used to be. I decided long ago, move my ass from any little badass little kids who cannot. No. My bad. I messed up the song. I started to malfunction by accident. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Whitney Houston. But these can't be the song. These can't be the kids you was talking about. Just in real time, they finally released the person who did it. Let's take a look.
Overnight, 17-year-old Tracy Haynes Jr. surrendered to police hours after he allegedly went on a shooting rampage at a Dallas high school.
You don't talk to nobody.
Shocking new surveillance video showing the moment investigators say Haynes opened fire. According to an arrest affidavit, an unidentified student let the suspect into the school through an unsecured door around 1 p.m. Tuesday. The affidavit says Haynes struck multiple students, adding he approached one student and appeared to take a point-blank shot.
Wow. Wow.
Teenager booked on a felony charge of aggravated assault, mass shooting. Under Texas law, he's considered an adult.
One thing he said when we was in my office was, I don't want to get killed.
Anton Lucky, who leads an anti-violence community organization, says he met with the alleged shooter and helped facilitate the teen's surrender.
Did you get any sense of remorse or responsibility?
Yes, I did. I did get that. It was obvious that he had some sense of fear, whether it was from the people he had the altercation with or whether it was some law enforcement.
Jemiah was in English class when chaos broke out.
I was scared.
She says a wounded student walked into her classroom and collapsed.
I'm on the phone with her while she's screaming, and I'm about to cry because I don't know what to tell her.
Meanwhile, earlier today, Dallas Fire Rescue said at least 2 injured students remained hospitalized for observation.
So there you have it. They finally released the person who shot up the school. And it was a black kid. lock his little ass up. I don't have no sympathy for this kid neither. With that being said, y'all, I'm out.